Hey guys, what's up? It's Treebros, this is one here, and I just got 10-second bite out of this video. And today I'm bringing you the ultimate League of Legends beginner's guide. And if this happens to be the very first video you've ever seen of League of Legends, or you're just a noob looking for some extra help, this guide is for you. Link in the description to download the game, etc. If you have not played it before and are thinking of doing it, use that link. It'll help me out, and I'll help you out too. So first off, I'd like to get something off my chest first, right at the beginning of this video. For those of you who have not seen videos of League of Legends and maybe are assuming that it's a role-playing game or something like that. So first off, League of Legends is not an RTS. It is not a real-time strategy game like StarCraft 2. Or an RPG, like it's not a role-playing game like Skyrim, or an MMORPG like World of Warcraft. It's not even close to any of those. What it actually is an MOBA. MOBA also stands for Multiplayer Battle Arena, where teams of 5 get pitted against each other in an arena with turrets and jungle and everything, and it's pretty epic in order to try to destroy the other team's nexus, therefore winning the game. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first off, what we're going to be doing is we have 4 categories. And the categories that we're going to be doing is the intro screen. So obviously when you're kind of new, there's an intro screen, and we're going to give you a full tutorial on that. We're also going to give you a tutorial with a lot of in-depth subcategories of the game basics. We're also going to be doing some advanced plays that you could try out with some of your friends if you're playing. We're also going to kind of go into some other game modes and kind of tell you what they are. And then after that, we're going to have a full game commentary with what I did wrong and what I did right. Okay, so once you finally, for your first time, open up your League of Legends kind of starting little intro screen, it will take you to something like this, where we'll have some news, featured items, and sometimes a picture. If it doesn't have a picture, it will have some games that you could kind of look at and spectate that are high-ranked games on the ladder system. So after that, there's a couple tabs at the top that we'll look at later, but first you're going to want to click on that play button, where there is a ton of options. So PvP on Summoner's Rift is the main game mode in the game. There's Twisted Tree Line and Dominion 2. You could also play these game modes in the Crystal Scar, which is Dominion on co-op versus AI. And you could also play custom games against your friends, or you could also play another game called an ARAM, which we will be kind of going over once we get to the other part. There is also tutorials right here that you should play before you do anything else, like do the battle training and the tutorial first. At the top is your name, your RP, and IP. These are points that help you buy stuff in the game shop, which we're about to go into soon. And right there is your summoner icons that you can pick from. Right as you get into the shop, there's going to be a lot of information. There's going to be sales and stuff that's new right at the start. But first, you could click on that Purchase IP tab. There you can see the prices. Those cost real money, and those are the only way you could buy skins in the game. You could also get them from other ways, but that's the main way you get them. There's the Featured tab, which shows all the featured deals, etc. There's the Champions tab, where you buy all your champions from, which there is around there's more than 100, I believe, now, and which pretty much just means an insane amount of gameplay to be had. And you just buy these champions after every game you play. You'll have some money. Save up that money, you'll be able to buy champions. After that, you have skins, which you buy RP with real money, and then you go into the shop and you could buy skins with those, which pretty much add just like extra stuff to your champion and makes them look cool. And it's definitely a decent selling point, considering a lot of people have them, including me. And then right here are runes. And runes and masteries are really important in League of Legends. What you do in the shop is you buy runes, add them to your rune page, equip them before the game starts, and they will give you bonus stats. Right here we have boosts to give you more IP and XP. Right here in the bundles we have rune pages and special packs that cost quite a bit. And in the other category we have rune pages, and you could also change your name. Right here is where you get enter your codes that you get with, let's say, skin code from eBay or whatever. And the bottom tab is your recent purchases. So now you go to your profile tab, where it will have your rank stats, your most played champions, and your honor. And it will also have your normal stats too. If you go to the tab on your player page, it will bring you to your league and your match history. Then click on the Champions tab. It will show all the champions you own and all the champions you don't. And on the Runes tab, it will have your rune pages where you buy the runes from the shop, add them on, save them, and use them to get bonus stats in-game. And there's your masteries where you gain 1 point each level to a max of 30. You put them in the mastery tree. You save those and equip them before the game starts, and you will get more bonus stats, which help out an insane amount. So right here, you click on the little feather tab, and it just brings you to something called the Journal of Justice, where it's just a whole bunch of news that not that much people read, I don't think. And then the little question mark is a little help menu. Right there's your buddy menu, right there's a whole bunch of chat rooms that you can enter that are public, and right there's your recent notifications for like friend requests, etc. So pretty much that's the basic of the game intro screen. So now click that play button and start a game. Okay, so now it's time for the game basics, and right as you get in the game you see the shop where there is a ton of items, and as a beginner I just recommend going with the recommended items. They used to be terrible, but now the League of Legends employees have actually put some work into it, and now they're decently viable. So as a beginner I'd say recommend the buy the recommended items and kind of experiment from there. Okay, so let's start by saying that there is 3 types of damages in this game: attack damage, magic damage, and true damage. Attack damage is more for like people that more bruise damage, and obviously magic damage is for the more mage casters and stuff. You could tell if you're magic damage or attack damage by clicking on the champion in the intro screen, but you could also tell if they're magic damage by looking at their skills, and if it has a plus like whatever and it's kind of green, that means it runs on AP, which is ability power, which is magic damage. If it's red, that means it runs on AD, which means it's attack damage, and you buy items that give you attack damage instead of ability power. Attack damage also increases your auto attack damage that you do per auto attack. Well, ability power only increases the damage on your abilities, but considering mages and stuff who use ability power don't really auto attack, it's always a good idea to go AP on them. And then what true damage is, only some champions have it. You cannot buy it, and what it does is it deals damage to whoever you target with, and it completely ignores resistance. It will always deal that number of damage no matter what. Okay, so now it's time to get into the real basics of the game. First, there is 3 lanes, as you can see on the mini-map in the bottom right. And right now, we're in the mid lane. The goal is to push to the nexus in the top right corner of the map with your team of 5. So, typically, there's one person that goes in the mid lane, and it's typically an AP carry. So, it's typically a magic dealer, but also AD can go mid lane, so do not count them out. Some good AP champions to go mid with are Vladimir, Ryze, Katarina, Malzahar, Annie, and Akali, so try them out if they're free this week. Okay, so now for top lane. Top lane is typically a solo, but it can be a duo if you don't have a jungler. A jungler is someone who goes in the jungle in between the lanes and kills minions there instead of getting XP from the lane. Top lane, if you're going solo, is typically a kind of bruiser, nice melee champion that deals AD damage. Some good champions to pick for beginners are Darius, Olaf, Irelia, Shen, and Singed if you feel like trolling. Okay, time for bottom lane. Now, typically there is 2 people that go bottom lane, and one of them's an AD carry, which is a ranged attack damage dealer, where all he does is he auto attacks at a range and just deals insane amounts of damage. The other one is a support champion who will just kind of support the AD carry and make sure they're built for late game where it's most important. So if you're looking to either play AD carry or support, you should either pick Caitlyn, Ashe, Tristana, Miss Fortune for AD carry if you're new, Or for support, you could also pick Traktion, Nunu, or Soraka. And obviously, there's hundreds of champions in this game, so you don't have to just pick one and always play them. You should always be playing different roles to understand the game better, pick a favorite one that you're best at, and try a whole bunch of different champions. You don't have to do the ones I mentioned there. If there's another champion free this week that looks cool, try him out. You know, just experiment with a whole bunch of different champions, and try to find your playstyle. For me personally, I love to play mid and AD carry, and my favorite champion in the game is Ryze, who is also one of the recommended champions for going AP, and he's also going to be the champion I am doing for the full game commentary pretty soon. So, definitely pick any champion you want, try them out. I just listed some beginner champions for you. Okay, so now, you may be wondering, that's only 4 people. Like, 1 person top, 1 person mid, and 2 people bottom. Where the hell is the 5th guy? Because obviously it's a 5v5. Well, the 5th guy is in between the lanes, jungling. And that's where the concept jungle comes from, is because it's kind of a jungle-like thing. And there's little monster camps that you kill in the jungle to give you this XP. The jungler will also do some advanced tactics that we will go into later, called ganking and kinda roaming. So right here I'm just gonna show you a jungle clear right here, and it's gonna have a little bit of it will show you all the camps and the buffs. Now there are 3 buffs in the game. There's the blue buff that I killed already, and it was that golem. There's a red buff that's coming up, and it's kind of a lizard type minion. And then there is Baron Nashor buff, which is an ultimate kinda entity, lizard, which gives your entire team a massive buff and gives your entire team 300 gold to spend on items. Now typically the jungle isn't really gonna be for beginners. It's more of a maybe once you hit level 30 where you get the runes and masteries and stuff. But you could try it out early. Riot has recently been pretty friendly to the newbies, allowing them to jungle a little bit better. So just you could try it out if you want. And because the jungler is always going to be on the prowl, and you will never know where he is unless you buy wards. Wards are in the consumables portion of the shop, and they're 75 gold. All you have to do is get one, place it in the river, and you will never be ganked. And a gank is when the jungler comes from the jungle and he roams into your lane and pretty much makes it so it's an uneven fight, and you will most likely die without a warning. And wards are the perfect way of giving you this warning. A good rule of thumb that you could use as a newbie is that you could place a ward down and then push past the river. But never go past the river without placing a ward down, giving you some kind of warning. Okay, so something called Baron Nashor spawns at 15 minutes into the game. And what you should not do is just go and attack it. Baron Nashor is a massive boss that you should pretty much use your entire team to kill. And as you can see, if you don't use your entire team, he will quickly eat you up and spit you out and kill you.
Executed.
There is also Dragon, which you can solo, but only if you're a nice, strong, powerful jungler. Okay, so I'm gonna just explain this a little bit now, but in the full game commentary, I'll go a lot more in depth. For laning and last hitting. Laning is different in all lanes and will have a little bit different attributes and play style, which you have to decide which you like the most on your own. But there's one kind of same thing with each lane, and is that you want to get as much last hits as possible. When laning, the minions that keep coming up the lane that you have no control over have just insane amounts of gold in them. And every time you kill one, you get a good 20 gold to like 50, depending on which kind of minion you kill. but make sure you get the last hit on it, the final killing blow, and you will get that gold. And the more you have, the more gold you have, the more gold you have, the more items you will have, the more items you have, the more stats you will have, the more stats you will have, the more damage dealing you will have, and the more damage dealing you will have, the more kills you will have, the more kills you will have, the more turrets you will have, the more turrets you will have, the more inhibitors you will have, and the more inhibitors you will have, the more wins you will have. So last hitting always leads to a win, just remember that. I know there's a lot of information to soak in here, but this is the last for the basic information. The bushes on the map are pretty much cut off the line of vision, so always be wary when going into one, otherwise this will happen. Okay, and then one last thing for the bushes is something called the bush juke. And you could use this whenever you're near a bush and you're getting chased by somebody. And it is just an insanely good tactic. The pros use it and it's really good. All you do is you go in the bush, you wait till they're nearly about to go in the bush, and you quickly walk out while they're going into the bush, and then you would have completely juked them out, and you will have that little bit more space between you. Oh yeah, and just remember, the same with every game pretty much that's competitive, never be greedy. Typically playing it safe is always the good way out. Okay, now we're finally at advanced tactics. These are tactics that you could try with your friends and have fun with, and overall will make your growth as a League of Legends player a lot faster. So you could try out with ganking, invading, roaming, and control tower dives. Now ganking is when you're a jungler and you go to another lane to help out the other guy in that lane, by making it an unfair and uneven fight, killing the enemy player and giving your lane an advantage. You don't have to kill the enemy player, you just need to give them some kind of advantage. Next is invading, where you typically do with a team of 5, but right here, I'm only doing it by myself. But do not do it by yourself, do it only in a team of 5, and it's where you sneak up on the enemy at the beginning of the game, and you kill them, take their buff, and pretty much do all that. Now, what roaming is, it is very similar to ganking, but it's when you come from a different lane that you're laning there, and what you do is you push it up, you push the lane up, and then you go help out other lanes while it's pushed up. So you could just roam around the map. When you pick a lane, you're not bound to that lane. It's not like you cannot move out of it. What you could always do is you could always go to the other lanes and help your teammates out, and that's the core of it. Okay, right now, I'm going to be showing you a move that I don't want you guys to do solo. Doing this solo is typically just going to be you being greedy and the tower's just going to kill you. A controlled tower dive is taking advantage of somebody stupid who sticks around too long. And typically it's done as a 3-man kind of gangbang on the one person sitting at their tower. And typically you kill the person and take the tower yourself. But do not do it alone, and only do it in controlled fashion. Do not do it just because you're greedy and you want the kill. Okay, so now we're just going to be quickly describing other game modes. There's 4 game modes in this game, currently. There is Summoner's Rift, Twisted Tree Line, Dominion, and ARAM. Summoner's Rift is the main game mode that is played professionally, and it is the game mode that you are pretty much going to be playing the most. And it's the one that I've been showing you. It has 3 lanes, it has a jungle, and it has the Nexus, and it's the main game mode. Next is Twisted Tree Line. Twisted Tree Line has 2 lanes, it has a jungle, it has a massive spider boss, which is kind of like the Baron of Twisted Tree Line, and it's awesome. Then we have Dominion, which is 2 lanes connected in a circle, and there's little kind of points that you need to capture on the map in order to to decrease your opponent's Nexus's health. And once that hits 0, it explodes, and that's how you win in that game. And then ARAM, where there's one lane, 5v5, everybody runs up the middle and attacks each other. And it's a good 15 to 20 minutes of fun. And you could only play it in a custom game. There's not like a search option, but all you have to do is go in custom game and search up ARAM. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is now for the final and most long and best and funnest and best and funnest part of this guide. We are now doing the full game commentary for League of Legends. And this game I'm going to be playing Ryze mid lane, my very favorite champion in my very favorite lane. And I make mistakes this game, my team makes mistakes this game, and my team was a whole bunch of assholes this game. So pretty much, I'm playing with a guy named Honeybee, and he and I were gonna go top. We were gonna do like a top lane, because mid laning means like you need a lot of APM, and you really need to be on top of things. Well, on top lane it's a lot more laid back, especially if you have 2 people. So we called it, and obviously Tryndamere and Vi here are going to be taking our lane and being complete dicks about it. So I'm going mid and he is going bottom. So we're not going to be playing together, sadly, but I will be able to show you some mid lane gameplay once this Garen is finally loaded. And my item choices for Ryze are a little bit wonky now. Like the item I picked kind of got nerfed. It's called the Crystalline Flask. And pretty much it gives you 3 like capsule charges of potions, so you really don't have to buy that much potions, and it's really awesome. And it's pretty good for AP, mana intensive characters. Like I do it on Karthus a lot and stuff. And let me just kind of break down what Ryze is. Ryze is a AP caster who runs most of its damage on mana. Yes, mana. And his mana is the blue bar at the bottom. And it's pretty much what gives him, lets him use his abilities. It drains mana when you use those abilities. And the more mana you have, the more damage your abilities do. And you could check that by, like, reading the abilities. Whenever you're playing a new champion, always hover your mouse over the abilities and kind of look at them. And just get a good idea of what they do and what they scale off of, if it's AD or AP, or if it's just a straight up true damage ability, or it might run off of mana, or it might run off of armor. There's champions in this game, their abilities deal extra damage because of how much armor they have, and yes, that's completely true. So always look at the abilities, always know what they scale off of. And if you're new, buy recommended items, and if you're decent but it's a new champion, you can typically think of them on your own by looking at the recommended items. Or what you could also do is you could also look up a guide on Mobifire or tsm.net. So TSM is a great team, and their website has a lot of good guides that you can look for each individual champions. Obviously this guide isn't going to be for individual champions. It's going to be for people that really just need a grasp on the game itself, not a certain champion. And that's obviously what this guide is for, and that's why it's going to be a good 40-minute long one. So, right here I'm just trying to last hit with Ryze as any champion in any lane other than support. Here's the thing, support is not supposed to last hit, and that is a really good rule of thumb. Support is just meant to support the AD carry, and by doing that they kind of zone out the other people, and they just provide support to when the AD carry needs it by healing them or giving them extra armor, etc. And you pretty much ward the lane. The AD carry needs all the gold they could get, so what you need to do is you need to ward the lane as support. It's not the AD carry's job, so don't make it his. Say you ward the lane. Grab like 2 or 3 wards at the beginning of the game and like a mana manipulator or something. And then after that, place some wards down and get that vision so you don't get ganked. But anyways, this Nidalee went a pretty dick build where she just maxed her spear. and got blue right away. So pretty much they got Nunu to tank blue, and Nunu would consume just to get health back, so she didn't have to take any damage. And then after that, she had a blue buff. And what the buffs do is the blue buff gives you mana regen and cooldown reduction, while red buff lets you slow people on attacks and spells, and it also deals extra damage for each attack. It deals kind of like a ticking dot damage, which is really, really good. And Baron buff, it just gives you like gives you extra damage to anything. Like, it's pretty much just an insane stat boost where it gives you just a retarded amount of stats, and it's when you kill it, it gives you that for everyone who's alive on your team, so it's just insane. But right here we have Nidalee trying to poke me from the bush, and this is what I mean by using bushes to your advantage. I juke out a spear there, but this is what I mean by using like the bush to your advantage. It's just such a good tactic, and this Nidalee used it great against me. And right here, I'm kind of just working on doing, trying to lane, but this Nidalee is completely out-laning me here. Like, I'm just getting served up by this Nidalee. And that's because she has blue buff and I don't. That is a simple factor. If that blue buff would have been transferred to me, I would be bullying this lane. But obviously, that's not the fact. And obviously, in this game, please guys, if you're watching this and you're deciding to play League of Legends, do not troll. A good rule of thumb is if somebody calls a lane, do not be like, I wanted to play mid, so I'm just going to pick it and lock it in, and maybe he'll decide. No, because if the guy calls it first, he'll be pissed. And typically it just starts a big either game of chicken or a trolling war, where people will just be like, fine, you're going to be that way. They'll lock in, and then they will all just start trolling. And it ruins the game for everybody playing. So, if you want a lane, call it, and if somebody takes them, if someone takes a lane, you could report them for that. You could report them for assisting enemy team or refusing to communicate with team. So, you cannot report somebody in ranked if they're ahead of you, though. Like, typically, if in ranked, if somebody picks something ahead of you and you called it, the ranking is who picks first is based off of how skilled you are. Like, it's kind of the skill tree. So let the better people pick what they want first and let you pick second. But sometimes calling it in ranked will keep the better people from just picking it right off the bat, and sometimes they're nice enough to let you have it. But it all depends. So this is mainly for normals because it's a beginner guide and that's what you're going to be playing. Until you get to level 30, of course. Then you can start playing those ranked games. So right here, I'm getting the blue buff. I soloed it because we don't have a jungler, so it pretty much took out all of my health. And because of that, I still don't have an advantage against this Nidalee. I still have no advantage against this Nidalee. And it really sucks, because she just took me down to, like, nothing there. So, right here, I'm going to probably call for help soon, I believe. But, like, this team that I had, top lane stole top from me and my friend, and just fed. Like, they just fed completely. So right now I'm calling top down to mid so they could gank. And this isn't technically a gank. Well, it is a gank, but it's more of a roaming gank because it's not a jungler. The roaming gank is when someone comes down from their lane that's pushed up and then they come and help out. So right here, my good old V drops the ball and kind of leaves me, and Nidalee picks me off with a spear, and then the V continues to stay around, killing herself. I believe. Yeah. Nope. Oh, ooh. Close one. But, anyways, I've been having some problems with frame rate this game. That's some reason a little bit why I've still been having a little bit of problems with this game. It's not because of my frame rate, it's my frame rate while recording. It makes it really hard to make full game commentaries while recording and stuff. So it's really tough, and you know, I'm trying to do my best, but it's really hard. which is one of the reasons I'm making mistakes, so I could point those out, and yeah. So, big mistake top's making right now is feeding, and they took a lane. So, hopefully, they would have not taken that lane. And later in the game, the V, or the Vi, I don't know how you say it, ends up blaming me for their loss, or ends up kind of blaming me, saying, why are you playing mid when you are recording and you can't play mid well? And then, dude, you're the one who took top from me, so I had no choice but to play mid. So, like, they try to blame me for them being assholes and taking a lane. So, anyways, our bot lane, it has pretty much made no mistakes, but this is a typical game, this is a typical bad game that you're gonna run into in low level of play. In low level of play, some people are just gonna AFK randomly, and when they AFK randomly, you're gonna want to report them right off the bat. It's just gets them out of your games, and if guys do not AFK, another beginner newbie tip, never AFK or leave the game, because if you leave the game too much, you will get banned. And why would you get banned? That's stupid. What if I have an emergency or something? It's fine with an emergency, but just like plan ahead and try not to minimum the games you leave. Like, a rule of thumb, I leave one game every 2 months, pretty much. One game every 2 months is like, what? One game every 2 months? And how do you do that? And the thing is, I plan ahead. And right here, a mistake that's happening with our bot lane is he is not really coming out to help me there. If he would have helped, it would have taken some fire off of me. We would have gotten the damage out. He also had heals, so we would have been completely fine. And we probably would have gotten maybe at least 1 kill, or it would have been a 1-for-1 trade. And since we're behind, it probably would have been for the best. But, yeah, that was just a big blunder on some my part, some of the Darius's part, and it's just gonna have to kind of see how it rolls. But yeah, so I immediately respawn pretty quick and head back to middle lane. Our top has lost their very first turret, and the Nidalee is kind of chasing down this Vi, and this Vi is gonna die. That rhymed. But anyways, yeah, this game, you could probably already tell we're not gonna win this. And why'd you pick this game? You're not gonna win it. It's a terrible example of a game. What the hell? But the thing is, like, this game has mistakes, and you can't really critique, or you can't really make a good video on teaching people how to play when all you do is raffle stomp the other team. A good video or a good gameplay to show when you're trying to teach someone how to play is a game with a lot of mistakes. But you have to emphasize that you're not supposed to follow these mistakes. You're supposed to you're supposed to tell them that this mistake was bad and we should not be doing this. And right here, that's another mistake right here. I pushed up past the river without having wards. And I've been doing this recently. It's just been a forced habit. Like, I've been trying to get wards, but sometimes my items that I'm getting just don't allow it. And, you know, I need the space for items. But no matter what lane you're in, unless you're an AD carry. AD carries, your support's supposed to get the wards. But if you're top or mid or jungle, place some wards down in good places. By playing the game, you will start to learn some good ward spots, and that should be perfect for you. But man, those Nidalee spears deal insane amounts of damage. But like, you gotta get wards. Like, wards prevent ganks. I've already stated this, but oh, I just get sniped there. But wards prevent ganks, and it's just buy wards. So much noobs don't understand the fact of how important wards are. If you look at a competitive team versus a game of people just starting out, they're completely different. A competitive team will have like 8 wards on the map at once, just in the jungle, in the river, on dragon, on baron, all at once, and they will just keep getting renewed all game in critical places. And just people that are new don't understand the concept of how important wards are and how important vision is. This is one of the reasons why currently Twisted Fate is a champion with a really high skill cap, and typically new players can't play him at all. Like, he's a really hard champion to get good with. But once you're good at him, he is the strongest champion in the game. And Scara, a professional player from the team Dignitas, is even like, yeah, Twisted Fate's the best champion in the game, I just suck at him. And every champion is good. Every champion is good, I have to say this. Every champion is good while fed. And pretty much being fed is like when your team, when the enemy team just kind of gives you free kills and you just kind of scale out of proportion. And that's what getting fed. Every champion is good while fed. You could take one of the worst champions in the game, which currently is probably Karma, because any champion can do that better something than her. So if you're like, ooh, Karma looks cool, I'm gonna buy her. I'd recommend not, but you can if you want, you know. Every champion is good, I said. Every champion is good under the right circumstances. They each have their own roles that they're good at. Every champion counters another, and you could just... There's endless possibilities with team comps. There's endless possibilities with champions. And that's what makes this game just so... The playability is so high, and that's why it's like the most played game in the world. And that is also why, like, their YouTube channel, for instance, has like 3 million subscribers. And oh my gosh, that's a lot just for like a game channel. Like, it's gonna be approaching top 10 subscribe, like one of the top 10 subscribed channels on YouTube soon. Riot Games Inc. That's the channel. So another thing that you could do is go to their YouTube channel and watch some of their recent, like, what can I say? Champion spotlights. Champion spotlights are a really cool thing that they do. Wherever a new champion comes out, they post a champion spotlight and kind of detailing abilities and special builds you could do with it. So sometimes, what I like to do is, especially if you're new, go to the champion spotlights and check them out. Like, just look at 90% of the champion spotlights. Some of the old ones are really outdated and they won't give you any information, but they still will give you a little bit of insight on how the game is played. So, just a little bit back there, I kind of got ganked. Obviously, that was another pushing past the river without any wards scenario that you really, really have to watch out for. You can never just push past the river without wards. And, you know, in low level of play, when there's no jungler, sometimes it's acceptable, but that is only when everybody is shown up on the map. So, another good thing to do is call MIAs, which are called missing in actions. So, whenever somebody in your lane kind of goes off and you don't have a ward tracking where he goes, just say, let's say you're mid, just say MID, mid, and MIA, mid MIA. And that will tell your team that mid is somewhere else and they have no idea where mid is. And that will give your team like, oh my gosh, mid's not there. Maybe we shouldn't just randomly jump under this tower and try to tower dive and be greedy. Instead, we should back off because mid's gonna gank us and mid is gonna kill us. So, you always gotta make sure that everybody is on the map. But I recommend not pushing past the river at all when the other team has a jungler. And a jungler is always recommended, but 90% of the time in low level of play, from like levels 1 to 15, you will not have a jungler. And the reason is that masteries and runes just aren't there at level 15. Typically, I like to say, here is a perfect like build for a low level champion in your IP. Save your IP until level 20. Every game you win or lose, and every game you play, you get influence points, which is kind of the cash that you could use in store in the game. And using that cash, you could buy champions and stuff. But you don't want to buy champions. What you want to do is you want to stick with the free champions. And using that, you will save all your IP. And when you save all your IP until level 20, you will be able to buy tier 3 runes, which are only available at level 20. Tier 3 runes. And you use all your money to buy 2 full pages of runes. And pretty much at level 20, I believe you will have enough for 2 rune pages and to buy a couple like low-cost champions. So at level 20, save up your IP, buy 2 full pages of runes. You could look up some guides, some special guides on runes and what you're good at level 20 and stuff. So you could spend your money nice and wisely, and you can make the 2 critical rune pages. As always, you could buy more rune pages in the shop after, but it always depends on, they do cost a lot. It depends on the cost. Sometimes you could buy RP, Riot Points, with real money, and you could buy like a bundle of 7 rune pages, which is just an extremely good deal. And obviously, it's not really a pay-to-win game, this game. It takes a lot of skill, and it's a really competitive game. But sometimes they just try to rip you off for money by being like, oh, you're gonna have to play like 20 games in order to, probably more than 20 actually. You're gonna have to play like 25 games in order to get 1 rune page. Or you could pay 35 bucks and get 7 right now. And that's kind of the big selling point, which gets people to buy stuff. And people just get so enthused and caught up in this game that people buy skins. And am I against buying skins? No, I have bought multiple skins. I have bought so much skins and champions using RP. Another thing is that they make all the new champions cost an insanely retarded amount of IP. So then they get you to buy them with RP instead. And that's another big selling point. That's how they make their money. That is how they host a tournament for $1 million in this game. It's all about the money. But you know how it is, and that's just kind of how this game works. But overall, it's not a pay-to-win game. Even though Riot makes a lot of money, it's not a pay-to-win game. It's not like Combat Arms. It's not a pay-to-win. It is a pay-to-look-cool game. It is not a pay-to-win game. And obviously, if you're dedicated, if you wanna be a beast, if you play this game 24/7, you will have enough IP to get all the rune pages in the world. You will have enough IP to buy all the champions in the world, and you will be on track. And a kind of recent goal I have set for myself is to report people that are assholes, pretty much. That's what I'm doing right here, is reporting assholes. And like, I want to get every champion in the game, and I'm slowly working toward it. I'm making a decent amount of IP, enough so I could probably get a champion and a rune page in the champion month. That every month a champion comes out technically. So in 1 month I am able to get like a good 1,200 and like 12,800 IP in order to get a rune page and a champion that week, that month. And then I might send the other month to another champion, and then runes for that rune page. And it's just all about planning it out. Use their IP that you get in these games and spend it on something great. Save it till level 20, I suggest. I'm not telling you to save it till level 20, but here is a really good way to do it. Save your IP to level 20. Just play the free weekly rotation champions until level 20, and then you will be all set to buy your runes and extra champions at level 20. Do not buy runes under level 20. This is another great tip. Never buy runes under level 20 because they will suck. The runes under level 20 suck. At level 20, you unlock the top tier runes, and those are the runes that you want to be using forever. So only use those runes. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you stuck around all this time, hopefully I deserved even a favorite or a like or maybe a subscriber. So anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace out!